Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, and today on In the Kitchen with Sandy, I am going to share with you a recipe for some butternut squash. Now, if you have not ever had butternut squash, believe it or not, these are not just for decorations. I mean, they are fun to decorate with, but you can also eat these as well, and they are absolutely amazing when you roast them in the oven, and especially if you're going to do them the way I like to do them. Today I'm going to roast them in the oven for a little bit, and then we're going to take them out and we're going to stuff them with some amazing things like some quinoa, some spinach, mushroom, onions, all kinds of different delicious stuff. You know, these are, they're great. They're absolutely amazing. And like I said, if you've not tried these, then you're in for a treat. All right, first off, we are going to start with getting our butternut squash prepared to go in the oven. I want you to preheat your oven to 400 degrees. And then we're going to take a nice sharp knife and we are just going to cut the end of it off there. And then we're just going to cut it right down the middle. We're going to try to anyway. And look how beautiful that is. Again, please, please, please be careful. Now these are, they kind of resemble, they kind of have the flavor of a pumpkin, but I think it's just slightly different. These are, they have like a nutty taste to them, which is, I really like it. Now what you're going to do, it's so simple. You're just going to take them and put them on a foil-lined baking sheet. And what we're going to do is we're going to brush these with a little bit of olive oil. Make sure you get the inside as well. And these are going to roast perfectly in our oven. Again, we're going to roast these at on 400 degrees for about 20-25 minutes until they start getting nice and toasty. And you're going to sprinkle them liberally with some salt. Like I said, this is a savory dish. If you wanted a sweet version of it, you could definitely make a sweet version of it by just, you know, adding some cinnamon and sugar and nutmeg and maybe some maple syrup. But today we are doing a hearty version of it, a nice salty version of it. Some pepper. I like a lot on mine. And then you're just going to place these, slide down there. In the oven it goes. Now, while that is getting started in the oven, we are going to go ahead and start on our, let me tell you what else we're going to make here, what we're going to stuff it with. I've got some quinoa. We're also going to use some mushrooms. These are just the mini bella mushrooms. And we're going to use some spinach. We're also going to use a little bit of diced onion. What else we're going to use? We're going to use some chicken stock. I showed you the quinoa. We're going to use a little bit of Parmesan cheese. You know you're going to have that. And then we're going to drizzle it with some balsamic vinegar at the end. This is going to be absolutely amazing. You got to trust me on this, you guys. You really got to trust me on this. Let's go ahead and get started chopping our veggies. All right, if you noticed, I chopped my onions and my mushrooms in kind of a bigger size because they're going to cook down, and I like them a little chunky anyway. I like a nice big bite with my veggies. And then I've just minced some onion up here. I just chopped it small. I didn't mince it. I like a big bite with that too. I mean, I'm a big girl. I like a big bite. All right, the next thing we're going to do while our squash is in the oven is I'm going to get this started here. We're going to cook our quinoa. And this is quinoa. If you've never seen this before, it is really absolutely amazing. It's like a whole grain. I think it's like closer to the rice family than it is pasta. But this is absolutely amazing. I'm going to cook this in chicken stock instead of water because it's going to add a nice flavor to the quinoa there. So what we're going to do is we're going to take 2 cups of chicken stock. Well, is that 2? That's 2 cups. We're going to add a little bit over the 2 cups because I'm okay with it being a little wet. But we're going to pour that into our little stock pot there, our little pot. And then we're going to add, once this it comes to a boil, we're going to add our quinoa in it. And then we're just going to turn it down on low. And then we're going to let it just cook. We're going to cover it slightly with a lid. I don't know where my lid's at for this. I'll have to find my lid. If not, I'll use just like a little saucer. And then we're just going to let it cook for about 15 to 20 minutes, just until the majority of the liquid is absorbed. Now, like I said, this is going to make an excellent flavor to the quinoa. It's not going to be really super chickeny, but it's also going to give it a nice little flavor in there. All right, this is just about up to a boil. We're going to add just about a teaspoon and a half of olive oil in there as well. I've got my eye on the back of my stove started as well because I'm going to push this back and let it cook on the back of the stove while I start on my veggies. That's one good thing about this recipe. By the time your squash is roasted in the oven, you have time to throw everything else together, and it'll all be ready to come together at the same time. Just pour that in there. Now I'm just going to give this a stir. And then we're just going to kind of cock the lid on it, you see, kind of leave it a little bit open there. And then we're going to put it back there. Got your pan there. And then we're going to add a couple tablespoons of butter. And a little bit of olive oil. You know, this is one of those recipes that I like to use both. There are times when I like to use both the olive oil and the butter, because it makes for a much more delicious dish. Let me give that a quick stir again. It smells so good already up in here. I can smell the butternut squash roasting away. All right, we're gonna toss our mushrooms and our onions in our pan there. And we're just going to cook these until they start, you know, cooking down a little bit. All right, this is looking fantastic. We're going to add a little bit of black pepper to this. Or a lot, y'all know me. And instead of adding regular salt, I'm going to add a little bit of extra garlic salt. And then we're also going to go ahead and toss in our garlic. We're just going to give that a stir. Mix that around really well. All right, we have about another minute or two left on our squash. I'm going to go ahead and add this to the quinoa in with our onions and mushroom mixture. Just going to stir that around. And then we're going to add in our spinach. Nice handful of spinach, because you know that's going to that'll shrink down. And then just incorporate that into the mushrooms, onions, and the quinoa. Well, we're going to turn this off. Our squash is done. We're going to pull that out of the oven. Let me show you a little quick tip to let you know if your squash is truly done to your satisfaction there. It's nice and soft. So you can just poke that knife right in there, and it's definitely done enough for me. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna flip them over. Let me get my coffee out of the way. Oh guys, that is like super hot. It smells so good. That is my fault. I made a couple cuts in it, trying to get that sucker cut, you know, a little flip. It's alright, we'll piece that sucker right back together, won't we? Man, I had to have a bite of its innards. Oh my gosh, that is so good. Just like this. This is amazing. Now, what we're going to do is yummy. We're going to take our mixture here, and we're just going to stuff it. And honestly, what I made here is probably enough for a couple of these squash. But that's quite all right, because I will have a little treat for lunch for work tomorrow. Leave your oven on, guys. Don't turn that oven off. It's going back in the oven. Ooh, that's hot. Look at that. The mushrooms stayed in pieces. See what I mean? How more beautiful that is if you leave your mushrooms and your onions a little bit more chunky. A little chunky like me. A bit of Parmesan cheese. Like I said, this is a nice, savory, delicious dish. And we're going to go back in the oven for an additional maybe 3 or 4 minutes, just until that cheese melts perfectly and beautifully on there. Look at that. Back in you go. A couple more minutes. Now, normally I'm not one who likes to be fancy-dancy. You know, I could care less about what you serve anything on. You know, I buy paper plates. I love paper plates. Come on, don't fall apart on me. This thing is hot. I can't talk and concentrate on what I'm doing. You gotta give me a second, guys. But this is so, the flavors are just so magnificent and so beautiful. I'm taking a mushroom. That this is not worthy of a paper plate. This is worthy of the best darn serving platter you have. Gosh, please don't fall apart on me. Please don't fall apart on me. It is so hot. Oh my gosh. Now, let's go over here because I'm super ready to eat this. Look at that. Just a little bit of balsamic vinegar right over the top of it. You don't need a whole lot, just a couple little splashes. Because this is amazing in itself. And I'm gonna dig right into this. I have been waiting. I'm done waiting. I got me a little plate here, but you know what? I think I'm just gonna take me a nice little bite. First off, you know what? First I'm gonna get me a bite of the spinach, the quinoa. Oh Lord, yes. Oh, that squash is nice and tender. Look at that. I'm gonna get a bite with everything. Try to get a bite with everything. Where's my mushroom? There's my mushroom. Here we go. Man. Let me tell you what you're getting after I'm done chewing. You're getting this, the slight sweetiness of the butternut squash paired with the saltiness of the chicken stock, the garlic, salt, the garlic, the mushrooms, the quinoa. They're so good. Man. I certainly hope you like this recipe. I do. I do. You know I love you guys so very much. You know I appreciate you, and I'll see you on the next episode of In the Kitchen with Sandy. Happy fall.